CayceCooks, Culinary Trends from the Akashic Records. Or as I like to say, the program where I've done all the work so you have no excuses. Today we're not cooking. Today we're not even in the kitchen. Today we're talking about red wine and brown bread. As you may have heard, Cayce told a lot of people that they should have red wine and brown bread. And when I first heard this, I thought, wow, that's what I like. I mean, it's not like getting up cream in your coffee. That's easy. I like red wine. I like brown bread. It's something I can do. At the time, in the city where I lived, I knew every restaurant that served brown bread so that I could go there for dinner, have a glass of red wine with my meal, eat brown bread, and I thought I was doing something really good for myself. But when I finally went to the readings and read them, that's not at all what Cayce had to say. He told over 70 people that they should drink a small amount of red wine with a brown or black bread, preferably in the afternoon, but as its own meal, with nothing else, no other food. He said not to have the red wine with a meal, but as a meal. And not to have it as a drink, but as a food. He told people that if they did this, that it could be strengthening for them. It could be building for their body. It could support whatever healing processes were going on. Blood strengthening. He said body building, body strengthening, many, many times. He also said that this could help with digestive processes, that taking bread and wine alone like this could help with eliminations and coordination of all the various organs and systems having to do with digestion. He also said on a very immediate basis that when we did this, we would get a boost of energy that very same time. That if we did it at the end of a workday when we were tired or worn out, that we'd get sort of that little burst of energy to help us get through the rest of the day. The types of people, or the types of conditions for which he recommended this ran the gamut. There were a lot of ones that might relate to the strengthening, the blood strengthening. There were people with anemia and toxemia, diabetes, and then there were people with constipation or poor eliminations, people who had colitis, different digestive problems. But there were a large group of people that were just kind of random, people who had depression or obesity, Parkinson's disease, breast cancer, a lot of different things that you could see that this would be, in addition to just being specific for certain benefits, it could be a general support to whatever healing was going on in the body. Like so many of the Cayce recommendations, this could be just good for anyone in general. And he did say that it would be good for anyone. He told one woman who had multiple sclerosis that she should do this 10 days on, 3 days off, and then repeat in a typical Cayce cycle. So here he was using it actually as part of a therapy. So this was a direct therapy as well as just a general help. For the wine, it was always red. He said that white wines and lighter wines could be had with food, but for this little meal, it was red wine. He wasn't specific about the kind. You can really pick any kind of red wine you want. This is a Chianti, nothing special about it. It's just red, and it is full body. He did say he liked heavier wines. Once he told someone to have a port or a sherry, which are sweet wines. In general, he said sherry was lighter and that you should be doing heavy wines. For the most part, he always said full-bodied, heavy. He wanted a wine that had some real substance, so a red wine, any kind of red wine. The amount. He told people anywhere from 1 ounce, 1.5, to the most I ever read was 3. Now, that's not a lot. It's a very small amount. I'm going to show you. This is a 6-ounce glass. I like to use this because I don't have to measure. You can get a measuring cup if you want and measure out the ounces. But when I poured this about 1/3 full, just like that, that's about 2 ounces. And that's not very much. It's just a little bit of wine. So you can see that this is not at all like I thought drinking a glass of wine. It's just having this little bit. I've learned not to buy a terribly expensive wine because if you're only having 1 or 2 ounces a day, chances are the bottle of wine is going to go bad before you finish it. So I found myself pouring out a lot of unfinished bottles of wine. So now I stay with rather inexpensive wines. But something you like, I mean, make it an enjoyable experience. For the bread, whenever Cayce talked about the bread, he went through kind of a string of different options, and he would repeat this over and over for almost everyone. He'd say whole wheat, rye, pumpernickel, black bread, Jew bread, which sounds a little politically incorrect, but a nice Jewish rye is a very black bread, and Cayce was really partial to black bread. sour bread, sourdough, rye crisp crackers. And what do they have in common? They're all tough. He said hearty. He wanted it to be a really strong hearty bread. So we're drinking hearty wine and hearty bread. This is a whole wheat sourdough bread. Sourdough is a little easier to digest for people that have problems with bread. So if you're someone that doesn't handle gluten very well, or just in general doesn't eat a lot of bread, you might try doing a sourdough. The bread, like the wine, will go bad if you're not eating it very often. I mean, a whole loaf of this. This is 1/2 of a slice of a big loaf. So there's a lot left. And I tend to just pop it in the freezer. And then when I want one, I put it in the toaster each day that I'm going to have it, and do it that way. That way the bread's not going bad. Cayce, I'm sure, would be fine with that. He told several people to toast their bread. In addition to having this tough, chewy bread, he said to a couple people, toast it just to even make it like tougher. He said it should be dry. But I don't think he was talking about unbuttered as much as he didn't want a moist bread. He didn't want anything soft, no sandwich bread or banana bread or anything sweet or soft. So he wanted a nice, dry, tough bread. However, when you're eating bread that is tough like this, it's a little difficult if there's no butter on it. So this is what I do. I recommend you don't like heavily butter, because he was so specific, no other food. So you don't really want to change the composition of what the nutrition was in this little wine and bread meal. So if you're going to butter it, I would go very lightly. What I do, I'll show you. I think the easiest way to get a very small amount of a fat is to use, this is my olive oil cooking spray, and I just do one little squirt like that. And then I take a crank of salt, because I think salt is a great way to perk something up that's a little boring to eat. And the salt is not going to change nutritionally the composition of this meal. In terms of the time of day, he told many people that they should have this in the afternoon, and he said 4 o'clock was the most frequent time that he mentioned. He said have it when you're done with your workday, when you're worn out, when you get home and you need a break and you need a little pick-me-up. He said cocktail hour. He said half an hour before dinner. So it was all kind of this late in the day. I don't finish my workday at 4, and I don't eat dinner at 4:30, so I tend to have this a little later. When I do it more like 6 or 6:30, but see what works for you. Since he gave a lot of different recommendations to people, you can try it out and figure out what time you like best. I would put it somewhere close to the evening meal. That was the most frequent that he recommended. He did tell one woman to have it in the morning instead of a cup of coffee, that it would give her the energy she needed. So, but that was the only one he told you in the morning. He said in terms of frequency, many times he said daily. He didn't say daily forever and never skip. He just kind of left it open to some people, but he specifically said not more than once a day. So if you're used to having 3 cups of coffee a day and you think this is going to be your coffee substitute, don't do this 3 times a day, just once. He told several people to do it occasionally. He told some people 5 times a week, 3 times a week. So again, just try, see what works for you. I used to do it every day when I first started because I like it, I enjoy it, I look forward to it. I mean, it's not like, you're really drinking a lot of wine, but I just make it kind of a special time. I make it quiet. Sometimes I'll do it, out on the deck, weather permitting, or I'll play music and just make it kind of a time where I'm really acknowledging that I'm doing something good for my body. I'm taking care of myself, and it's also enjoyable. That's really it. It's very simple. I hope you'll try this. There's almost no prep time, so it's easy to do. And potentially, for this small amount of wine and a little bit of bread, potentially there's some great benefits. One of the things I've noticed after I've been doing this for some time is I noticed I was just sleeping better. I was falling asleep really easily, staying asleep. Now, Edgar Cayce never said this was a benefit, and I'm not sure it was directly related to this. There could have been something else going on when I first noticed this, but perhaps I was just digesting my evening meal better, and that was allowing me to be more relaxed or peaceful when I went to bed. I don't know. But see what happens for you. Let me know how you do. CayceCooks@gmail.com, and yeah, there you have it. So cheers, or as they say in Italy, salute to your health.